It's no secret in Ponytown that tables just don't really work that well, but do I hate tables? Yes, specifically this table, because the small table in Ponytown just cannot be used for basically anything. Literally nothing in the game layers on top of this except wall items, and that is just genuinely terrible and something that I hate about this item. But what are more items that I hate? Let's go over all of my least favorite items in Ponytown and why they're my least favorite items in Ponytown. Next up, of course, would be an empty box. The empty box is great. I've used it in a few builds, just like I've used technically the small table and stuff like that, but I just never find a use for it because, again, similar to the table, almost nothing layers on top of this in a way that allows you to put something inside of the box. It makes much more sense to use the small picket box instead of this small box here. It's just not that great. Next up are the snow items and the ice items. The ice block and snow block specifically, you can paint these to get to different versions of them, such as this weird one here, this taller one, etc, etc. And I've used these plenty of times before in builds all over the place. However, there's just not much support for these items in Ponytown. There's not many things in the game that really work well with the ice and snow items, and so for that reason, I don't really use them that much, and as a result, I tend to forget about them or not think about them or really have much strong feelings about, other than, hey, that's kind of there, I guess. But now we're getting into some more obscure items, such as the rope rack. This item is kind of neat and cool, and I actually genuinely thought it was really interesting and a neat item when it was first introduced into the game, but I can never find a use for this. This always just seems like, hey, it could make a good ladder, but you can't go in between here. Hey, it would make a good, I don't know, a prison or something like that, but it just doesn't really work that well for a prison. It just, every single thing I come up with for this item, it just doesn't hold up very well to many other things I could use instead. For example, I could easily just use the tall post and then just line those up together to create my own fencing or rope stand that looks a million times better than this. I don't know what it is about it, but I just don't really like it that much, and I can hardly ever find a use for it, and so it goes on this list as well. Next up is something you guys probably have heard me complain about before, but that is clovers and flowers, specifically these flowers and these clovers. I don't know what it is about this clover and this flower that people love to spam all over their islands, but it just doesn't look good, especially when they're spammed together. Now, used sparingly, these two items can be pretty useful and pretty nice, but for the most part, I use these extremely sparingly because I don't think they look great compared to many of the other flowers and nature decorations that you can use on your island. Next up is one that actually kind of surprised me as well. I just went through all of the items in the game and I was like, hey, you know what? I don't think I've ever even used this item, and that is the pretzel stand. I don't think I've ever even used the pretzel stand ever in my life, and if I have, it was very briefly. I don't know what it is about this. Maybe I'm biased because in real life I hate pretzels, but the pretzel stand is just not that great. It looks cool and it's nice, it's interesting, it's, you know, it's a unique item and everything like that, but it just has basically no use. It doesn't fit in a typical restaurant. It pretty much can only fit into one type of restaurant or one type of food stand or something like that. It has its uses and I've seen it used well before in the past, but for the most part, this item just kind of is like, and I don't think I've ever used it, and so I'm not really a big fan of the pretzel stand. I don't know what it is about it, but I just do not like it at all. Something else I'm not a big fan of is the banners. If I get a broom out right now and just click on this enough times, you can see that it comes in a huge variety of colors and stuff like that. But I hardly ever find a use for these two, because again, they're super niche and almost have to be used in a certain type of build, and I don't typically make those types of builds, and so it's just kind of here. And some of the color combinations are kind of strange too, at least in my opinion. Some of the color combinations, like the default one, is just not that great in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of it, but I've seen it used really well. I've used it well before in the past as well, so I do use it sometimes. I'm just not really a big fan of this item. Next up is the toy stash. The toy stash is really kind of lame when you think about it, because we don't need this item. This item is a niche thing that used to be kind of very much needed if you wanted to equip any toys in the game, because if I click on this, I open up the toy menu just like this, and wow, look at that, I can equip any toy in the game that I have unlocked, but just by interacting with this. But I can do the same thing by clicking this in the top right and then just hitting select toy right here, and I can open up the menu here as well. So when they introduced this mechanic, this item kind of became a little irrelevant. It's a nice toy, it's a nice gift bundle, and maybe they should have more gift bundle items in the game or something like that, but the toy stash as a concept just doesn't really work that well anymore. Additionally, I think they should be changed on the main island as well, because they're not really necessary anymore, if that makes sense. Additionally, I have used this a few times, but I don't really like it that much. You also can't paint the toy stash, which is kind of disappointing, and I feel like you should be able to customize it, and so for that reason as well, I just can't. Next up, to nobody's surprise, is the apple. I don't really think I have to say why I hate apples in this game, but I just do not like apples. And last but not least, the thing that you guys all knew was coming, the fucking crystal branches and the starry branches. Yes, this is called a starry branch, not a cookie branch, because those aren't real cookies apparently, and this whole thing is a facade. They are terrible. I hate them. They look ugly. They do not work with literally any item in the game. Trust me, I've tested it with every single item in the game. They do not look good with literally anything. People always take them and put them in doorways like, oh, look, that's so cool. That looks so good there as a doorway. It looks terrible as a doorway. Why is it floating there? Why is it a branch? Everything about it, it just doesn't look good. It doesn't match the color of anything else in the game. It just does not look good. The branches, the crystal and cookie branch just do not look good. The only thing in the game at all that looks good with it is another branch, and that is literally the only thing in the game that it looks good next to. They're terrible, and you should definitely not ever use these items because I hate them, and I genuinely think they ruin builds more than anything else in this game, because for some reason people think they can just put them wherever they want and it looks good for some reason. This item also needs an update, I think. I think if they updated this item, if they changed the branch a little bit, if they changed the color of the branch, maybe adjusted the thickness of it, or did something to this item, if they updated this item, I could see this looking good with a lot of other things, but right now, it just does not look good with stuff. But those are a bunch of items that I dislike in the game right now. Let me know in the comments below what items you hate in the game, and if there's anything that I hate that you absolutely love. I would love to talk about it in the comments, so definitely hop in there and let's get a discussion going. But for now, that's gonna do it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please do consider liking, subscribing, sharing, and doing all of those wonderful things like that, because when you do wonderful things like that, not only do you get access to wonderful content such as this, but you also get to become wonderful yourself, and I think we all want that. So do those wonderful things, and until next time, stay wonderful.